This episode of the PC Perspective Podcast is brought to you by Braintree. Even the best mobile app won't work without the right payments API. That's where the Braintree V.0 SDK comes in. One amazingly simple integration gives you every way to pay. Try out the sandbox and see for yourself at braintreepayments.com/PCPer. Hey everybody, welcome to the PC Perspective Podcast. This is episode 389. Yep.
It's literally on the screen.
Yeah, but that's really, it's far away from me.
On the document you're reading.
We're like 10 away from...
You've typed it like 3 times today?
Yeah,
but 10 more podcasts, we're just going to have to let Josh do the intro.
Yeah. Because today is March 2nd, 2016. I'm Ryan Shrout.
I'm Josh Walrath.
I'm Alan Malventano.
And I'm Maury Titleman.
And Jeremy is away on escapades.
Beer fests.
Yeah, he's doing something down in Mexico.
He's doing something.
He's doing
down in Mexico.
Tequila fests.
Doing something down in Mexico. So let's go ahead and jump into stuff here, guys. We've got a lot going on this week. Obviously, we record the show on Wednesday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Pacific at pcper.com/live. We do other events. Yes. At that URL, we will have one coming up. No, you're right, we don't. But if you need reminders about these events that we do, if you go to pcper.com/subscribe, you can sign up for a mailing list. You get this little form here. It basically just asks for your name and your email address. It's really simple.
Security number.
Social security number.
CV2.
CV2. We don't even need your credit card number, just the CV2.
Yeah. Oh, we already have your credit card number.
Yeah,
that's true.
We already got that.
That's true. So you get that info there, and we send you an email an hour, a day, or whatever it is before we're doing any kind of a special event. We are still going through our Patreon campaign here. Want to thank people who have signed on in the last week. I was gone during the podcast last time, so I don't know how much you guys talked about this, but we're still going strong here. We actually had a reduction in our per month in the last couple of days. We haven't lost any patrons, but people, I think, that maybe signed up originally didn't realize that this is a monthly recurring thing.
Well, that was nice of them to not just like kill it completely and just like reduce.
And nobody's killed it. They've like, I'm going to reduce from this to this, which is perfectly fine.
Yeah, cool.
You're able to do that. The system is very friendly for that. But a Patreon campaign basically lets you guys contribute directly to us, to the website, to the content. And we're trying. I really want us to hit that $3,000 a month goal where we do the mailbag show, because that's what I really want to. That's like the thing I really want to do. No, we're close to 2,000.
Oh,
3,000 was the mailbag.
What was it? The 2,000 mark? Oh, that was bringing on more people.
Another like part timer or bringing a part timer on more.
Yeah.
So
old timer, part timer,
part timer. So patreon.com/pcper, and we appreciate your support there. And then. Speaking of other live streams that are going on, first thing I'll mention, Saturday is the Fragging Frogs VLAN that they are hosting through our forums. If you go to forums.pcper.com, go to the gaming session. They're going to have basically an all-day gaming session on Saturday. Virtual LAN parties are actually really fun. But on Sunday, we are hosting this thing, a 12-hour live stream on Sunday, March 6th, with prizes, guests, and fun. And you can see this bullhorn clearly tells you that things are going to be loud and fun.
Yeah.
This is called streaming out loud for no particular reason.
We've had a pun generator. And
this is the best we can come up with, I'm going to be honest with you. So March 6th, starting at noon Eastern, going to midnight Eastern, at pcper.com/live. We will do a bunch of stuff. We have guests, including Patrick Norton, Tom Peterson, Andrew Coonrad from Logitech, Jacob from EVGA, David Hewlett from the Internet, Dan Baker from Oxide Games, which will be an interesting discussion based on what we're going to talk about later. Ben Kuchera from Polygon. We've got a whole list of prizes here with a couple more companies still sending in stuff. We've got EVGA, AMD, Corsair, Logitech, MSI, OCZ. All these guys are donating prizes for our live stream. In terms of activities that we're going to do, we're going to have VR discussions with Ben. Alan's going to teach us about soldering. We're going to do some Q&As through our chat and Twitter and Patreon groups. We're going to have Sebastian build a table PC from Leanne Lee. We're going to do some gaming sessions. We got some racing to do, some Rocket League, some Unreal Tournament 2004, I'm sure. Ken has challenged me to a Steam controller challenge where he believes that me with a mouse
And a keyboard.
And a keyboard, yes.
Just a mouse.
Will do worse than Ken with a Steam controller in like CS:GO one-on-one. I don't.
Start practicing.
He really has no chance in that. And then hopefully we get in a Lenovo tabletop PC and we're going to do a riveting game of Risk.
If not,
in there,
we're bringing.
Can I VPN in and join?
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually, just before the podcast went live, I added kind of a tentative schedule to all of this. So you can see what we plan to do starting at noon, who will be where, if there's a particular person you want to see interviewed. You can kind of try to plan accordingly. Sorry if you are in a different time zone and these are not helpful for you. We'll have this broken up into like 4, 5, or 6 segments on YouTube after the fact. So,
nope, 1 12-hour video.
1 12-hour video on YouTube. Sorry, that's just how it's going to go. So hopefully that'll be fun. And again, if you go to pcpro.com/subscribe, you can sign up there, and I'll make sure you guys get an email with all the information there, or just plan your Sunday accordingly. For people in the chat, I did send a couple of emails to Colleen. She never got back to me with times that worked, so we'll plan that for a future adventure, if you will. All right, let's get into the content for this week. We'll start with the Thermaltake Core X9. This is an E-ATX Cube chassis review that Maury wrote. Now, if you look at this picture of the case, you think, oh, that's almost like a cute micro ATX.
Those are 5
chassis.
1/4 bays, aren't they?
Yeah, those are 5 1/4 inch bays in the front.
Holy
there, Maury.
crap. Oh, and that tiny little thing is actually like a 980.
Right, yes. If you look at that video card in the window.
Yep, and actually, Ken, if you scroll down to the next picture down on there.
That's Ryan. But
okay. Ryan, sorry. See the brackets there? Those are 4x120 brackets.
Holy crap.
Those go across the top. So 2 of those will fit across the top. That gives you an idea how big the case is.
It is bigger than a bread box.
Oh, it can hold about 5 or 6 bread boxes.
Yeah.
No, actually, probably more like 10. I don't know.
Holy crap, that is enormous.
Yeah, I actually, let me see. If you go to...
Is the idea that you just fill it with a bunch of hard drive bays or something? Or
yeah, a bunch of everything. Ryan, if you go to page 3 on a review and scroll down to about the 3rd or 4th picture.
All right.
I actually have measurements in there in the pictures. I took a tape measure and did the length, width, and height. So there's a tape measure, and you can see it's almost 19 or 18 inches high. It's about 15 inches wide. And about 25.5 inches deep. So this thing is a monster.
You can almost just put the LCD.
And actually, I did that because I actually saw in another review on some other site actually do that. So I figured that was a good idea.
Yeah, it's useful information. Sure.
But basically, this case is made for enthusiasts. I mean, you can fit anything. I mean, you can pretty much fit everything you want in there. In the build I have going in it now, I have a two 360 radiators and a 140 radiator in it, and still got plenty of room. I mean, and the weirdest thing about this is you can actually stack them. I don't know why you'd want to stack them, but you can stack them
when you need more space.
Yeah, in case there wasn't enough room in one.
Yeah.
What size is this fan I'm looking at right here?
That fan is a 200 millimeter, I believe.
My God.
So yeah, that basically takes up the bottom half of the case, and you can fit 2 of those in the front. The panel on the left side of the case is full window. The panel on the right side is basically two vented sections.
Yep.
And the panels, the left and right panels, are fully interchangeable. They also make an optional panel that has a half a window and half a vented section. So if you wanted to show off the top motherboard tray and hide the wiring stuff on the bottom, you can do that. The radiator support, you can put radiators on both sides of the case on the lower sides, and you can put radiators on top. You can also put radiators in the front. And actually, there are some pictures of that one in here, I believe. I think I included some. It's all steel construction, so the thing is heavy. It's about probably 35 pounds, or maybe 25 pounds unloaded. Fully loaded is more about somewhere between 35 and 50, depending on how much water you have.
Xmass in the chat wants to know if you can put a mini ITX motherboard in this chassis.
Yes, you could, and it will look like a Smurf in a big house.
This is
Yeah, this is a monstrous case. It's very well constructed. When this first came out, this case came out, I think, middle of last year, maybe. The rumors, and well, it's not a rumor. It's true. Thermaltake basically copied the Case Labs style case design, and they basically wanted to make a Case Labs case that was more affordable because this case is about $140.
Yeah.
If you find it on sale, I mean, when I bought this thing, because I bought this for my own personal use, this is going to be what I use for my QuakeCon build. I got it for about $100 while they were running all the holiday specials.
Right.
But it's got all the grommets on the motherboard tray. You can see there underneath the motherboard tray, it actually has mount points for hard drives, so you can mount hard drives underneath. It also comes with two hard drive bays that will hold 3 hard drives each with removable drive bays.
It can also act as a hangar for an ultralight aircraft.
Yes.
So is that a 1,000-watt power supply that just looks like it's not even?
Yeah, that's a 1,000-watt power supply.
You can fit your UPS in the case.
Yeah.
You can actually put 2 power supplies in there because you can put power supplies on both sides if you want to. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but you could.
I do want to, while we're finishing this up, I'm going to go back. Oops, damn it. I wanted to go to the first page here and show the stacked kind of picture from Thermaltake.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we saw these stacked at CES, actually.
Yeah, I think who was that? That was
Sebastian
Like if you
did the
look,
post.
so see this stacked configuration, and I'm gonna
radiators.
I'm gonna zoom in, and that is an Asus Poseidon card,
Which is a large
there.
card.
yeah.
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 The top has 3, maybe 4 480 millimeter rads.
So it kind of looks like a filing cabinet.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, if you stack them like that, it does. I mean, it really isn't. I mean, as far as height, it's about 18 inches tall, so it's about the same height as a smaller
child.
Well, it's about the same height as a mid-size
Mid-size
ATX
sedan.
case, so just a lot wider and a lot deeper. I mean, it's a really good case. The
I could
one
have
thing
slept
that
in that
I
in my
am
homeless years.
concerned about is aftermarket parts, and this is not just a concern that's for this case, but for most of these cases, a lot of the manufacturers will come out with cases and say, "Oh, these are expandable. We're going to have this whole line of stuff that goes along with it," and then the pipeline dries up because they have something bigger and better out, or
Right.
So. But I mean, what it comes with is decent. It's the feet it comes with raises up about an inch or an inch and a half off the floor, which is nice. You can see from the flyway if you scroll down to about the 4th or 5th picture where it has a flyer parts. Not that one more. See right there. That's a picture of all the rads you can fit in all the various radiator configurations, and then there's one more down that has a picture of fans. So. You can fit. I mean, you can pretty much do whatever you want with this case.
That's like $400 in fans.
Yeah, that's like That's like probably $600 or $800 in water cooling equipment if you did everything. But it has side brackets that you can either side mount or bottom mount the rads. You can top mount the rads, and you can mount rads in the front of the case, and you can also mount a rad over the motherboard if you wanted to. That'll support up to a 140 millimeter fan in the rear section. So I mean. And if you want to get really crazy, you could probably put a rad in between the side rails in front of the motherboard. I mean, there's all sorts of things you can do with this, and a lot of modders have done a lot of crazy things with this case. But it's decent. It's not build quality is decent. It's all powder coated like most of these cases are nowadays. Black powder coating. It's pretty scratch resistant, pretty resilient. The power panel, the button panel with the front ports and all can be either mounted to the right or the left side of the case. They give you that option. See, in this one, you see it's mounted on the right side of the case. You can actually flip that. On the bottom one, you see there's a blank panel there. Yep. So it comes with one blank panel and one full panel, and you can move that as you want. And it actually has dual routing on both sides of the case to accommodate that. So
cool. All right, so check that out. I know you have another story coming on this case anyway. The case so big it wouldn't fit in one article.
Yeah.
So we'll look forward to that. Also, you posted up, and let's run through these real quick. Reeven?
Reeven. Yes.
Okeanos?
Yeah, Brontes and Okeanos. I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't know. Someone was in the chat, or someone in one of the comments said that it was they're Greek names.
Okay. They're bright yellow. I know that.
Yes, they're yellow and chrome. So these are basically designed after the Noctua style, Noctua style fans or CPUs, CPU coolers. Sorry, they're a hybrid aluminum copper. Both of them are aluminum and copper hybrids. Copper pipes with nickel plating, copper nickel plated base plate, and an aluminum rad. They performed okay. I mean, the Brontes, which is the one with the horizontal fan, is actually a very small form factor unit. It's you can overclock with it, but it's not meant for that. It's meant for an HTPC or a smaller build like that.
Right.
The Okeanos, which is the dual tower, performed a lot better. They actually sent me a third fan, so I did testing with 2 and 3 fans on that.
Of course you did.
Believe it or not, the difference between the 1 fan, 2 fan, and 3 fan wasn't really that great.
Yeah.
I performed well, pretty much across the board. Build wise, it was okay. It wasn't. There were some. There's some things I picked on it about, like for example, a lot of tower makers will solder the heat pipes to the individual aluminum layers to facilitate heat transfer. They did not, but they're basically just fit in place. The heat pipes, it still transfers heat well, but if it's a solder joint, it adds strength and a little bit of heat transfer to it. The build quality was good on it.
Yeah.
There was some weird fit issues that I had. Actually, the normal test bench I use is a Z87 M-Power motherboard that has the 3-side wraparound VRM heatsink.
Mm-hmm.
The Okeanos. Neither one would fit on that, so I actually had to move to a Z97 board. I was using a Z97 Pro Gamer board to do this test. The difference between Z87 and Z97 overclocking wise and heat wise is nothing because they use the same CPU and memory and all. So I wasn't really worried about that. But it's just kind of a
sure
interesting thing for fit. So if you have a really tight fit, you're just gonna have to be careful with this.
Fair enough.
What else?
So if you can look at the cooling results here.
Yeah.
All right. Triple fan, dual fan.
Yeah, so you can see the numbers really don't change much. The triple fan is 1 degree. Well, max is 1 degree less, and across the board it's 1 or 2 degrees less than the single and dual fan. So it really,
How much are these things?
Let's see here.
They're more than $2.
They're more than $2. Yeah, thanks.
$75 for the
$75 for the Okeanos and $39 for the Brontes. For what you get, it's not a bad. That's about the price for a higher end tower cooler.
Yeah.
And for $40 is a decent price for an HTPC cooler. So.
Fair enough.
No, they're not. They're not bad units at all. We gave it a silver award because just the performance. I was very surprised by the performance because, you get fans from these newer companies. You don't know what to expect. But I was pleasantly surprised. Tested with the Haswell E and Haswell, so both are known for the heat profiles. I did not test it against a Skylake because if it works on a Haswell, it's gonna do stellar on a Skylake. There's really no reason to run those numbers.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So.
All right. So check that out. That's Reeven. Reeven is the manufacturer of those particular units. All right. So where did we put this here? DX12 controversy. Oh, really? I didn't click that link in my own story. So apparently some stuff happened about DirectX 12 this week, guys.
Is it awesome?
Yes.
Have
It
you
is
been
awesome.
sold up the river?
Did games found the ship?
Oh, absolutely.
Have you been
absolutely.
bamboozled?
It's awesome for somebody.
So let's see if I can give a quick summary so we can actually have a discussion, because I think a lot of people that are listening to this
You're wrong.
hopefully already have read this story. So there's two different stories. There's this one here that I titled PC Gaming Shakeup, Ashes of the Singularity DX12 in the Microsoft Store. And this one goes into some details about that latest version of the Ashes of the Singularity game was released with a new benchmark mode and some new stuff that we were looking forward to testing, including an integrated FCAT overlay. But we ran into some issues, right? So after we got FCAT kind of up and running, I think the GPU testbed just happened to be in its NVIDIA state at that point, which different SSD, different video card. And so we ran FCAT based capture testing on it, and sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't, and we couldn't quite figure out why. Like sometimes we'd get, when we turned VSync off in the game engine, VSync would be off in the game, we'd be able to test it, we'd measure frame rates accordingly, etc. And you'd get a graph that looked like this one. Right? Uncapped frame rate, VSync off, that's kind of what we're used to seeing in kind of a capture-based, frame rating performance evaluation.
Yep.
However, what occurred, we couldn't figure out why, we went back and forth, but when we went to AMD, we could never get it to go into a true VSync off state. Instead, we got graphs that looked like either this, if we had VSync on, or like this with VSync off, which is not how it's supposed to look. That is a graph that is what you would expect it to look like with VSync on. Instead of having gradual shifts between a frame time of 33, 16 frames per second, or milliseconds, I'm sorry, you get very sudden, instantaneous differences or changes between 33 and 16 millisecond frame times. That's what happens when you either a frame is on there for one refresh cycle or a frame is on there for two refresh cycles, right? And that's kind of the difference you're seeing. What was interesting, though, is that if you look at that, there are some 0 millisecond frame times, which somebody in the comments was complaining because that doesn't mean 0 FPS. It technically means infinite FPS, but that's harder to diagram for me.
Yeah.
So yes, it's technically it is
What if
missing
you use a
frame.
logarithmic
Well, yeah,
scale?
sure.
It's like a drop frame.
You just need to have it go below the axis.
So after doing a whole lot of research and talking to people at Oxide and talking with people at AMD, NVIDIA, Intel, game developers, Microsoft, whoever, what we're seeing is an interesting. How do I even word this really?
So this game is not running in full screen.
Correct. So
In true full screen.
yes, there you go. That's a good way to start it out. The way to look at this graph is that while we expect the game to be running in an exclusive full screen mode,
Yep.
it is not. It is instead behaving as if it is acting in a borderless windowed full screen mode.
Or just full screen window mode.
Full
or
screen window.
whatever.
Yeah,
Different
they call it
There are
different
some
things.
games that actually have a mode like this, so that
Right.
you can have other stuff, on top of the game with the game running in the background
Right.
on a desktop and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, and so I was like, okay, that's kind of weird. And then there's a theory that AMD didn't properly enumerate a feature called Flip exclusive, into their driver for DX12, because in DX11 mode it works fine, and thus, maybe this is just like a driver oversight. More conversations were had, and it's like, this may not actually be an oversight. This may be AMD kind of giving a nod toward the way Microsoft is trying to push some things forward. And by some things, I mean that the Microsoft Store. So the Microsoft Store in Windows 10, and it's been around before that, is... They announced a while ago that they were going to try to integrate some interesting features into, or they actually already had, integrate some interesting features into Windows 10 gaming, right? They have a recording bar. They have the ability to take screenshots. They have the ability to get notifications while you're gaming. The ability to integrate with other, on-screen keyboards and stuff like that. All of those functions that they want to do and that they are doing on games sold through the Microsoft Windows 10 store require not exclusive full screen usage.
Yeah.
They
It needs to
require
stay-
a borderless full screen.
Yeah. It needs to stay in like the desktop rendering engine.
Right. And so
in
that's what it
Windows.
is.
Yeah.
These games that get pushed through the Windows Store also have to agree to be to use. They're not agree to. They're forced to use the Windows compositing engine,
Yep.
which is basically a different way for, instead of the graphics card simply determining when the flip occurs to the display, it basically gives a full frame to the Windows compositing engine, says, here's my latest full frame. You do whatever you want with it. The compositing engine then goes, okay, here's another VSync interval. I'm ready to put it in. Or I need to add some stuff to it, another layer, and now I'll present it up to...
And that's, except for the extra layer thing, that's the same way that any game that ran in a window has worked in the past.
Correct.
It has to comply with whatever the desktop rendering engine is wanting to do, as opposed to the game engine.
And so in the game that runs in a window, or a game that runs in this mode, a full screen window has no tearing.
Right, it's always forced VSync on.
It always forced VSync. And the no tearing is a positive, right?
I guess.
Horizontal tearing is a negative thing. It's a bad thing, right? That's why G-Sync and FreeSync exist.
But those don't work in this mode.
Not true completely. Okay. G-Sync works, like, for example, Gears of War came out on the Microsoft Store. It apparently works in-game, but not in cutscene. G-Sync, I mean.
G-Sync works, okay.
Yeah. Now, why the difference there, I don't understand. This is interesting, going back to our discussion before the podcast started about, well, if you just present it the normal way, the G-Sync monitor will just handle it all correctly.
Yeah.
Something is happening between those two modes. So the general problem here is, and I'll leave it for you guys to like read the article where there's more of this stuff going on. The issue with Ashes of the Singularity seems like it could be simply a driver bug. Right, it could be simply that AMD did not enumerate something that would allow them to get into an exclusive full screen mode, because the Ashes of the Singularity is not sold through the Microsoft Store. It's sold through Steam, so it's possible that that's just a driver error. However, what this led us into is like, oh yeah, hey, look, there are some games that are going to be coming out from Microsoft Store. There already are games like Tomb Raider, or Rise of the Tomb Raider is out. Gears of War came out this week. Gears of War Ultimate Edition is exclusive to the Microsoft Store. Quantum Break will be out this year. Is that right?
This month, I think.
Is it this month?
I think so.
Both on Xbox One and PC, exclusively through the Windows Store. Right. So these are two games now that you are forced into this pathway.
What else does that break? Does SLI work? Does Crossfire work?
So good questions all around. Microsoft's official stance is like SLI and Crossfire will still work, but the game developer has to integrate support for it.
Differently than it used to be implemented.
I think so.
So instead of NVIDIA being able to load in a profile, that profile essentially needs to be baked into the game.
So you can't fix SLI and Crossfire after the fact.
Well, the game developer could do a patch.
The developer has to do it now.
The developer could, but in theory, maybe NVIDIA and AMD don't have the capability, because one of the other things that's interesting about the whole Windows App Store is that they're sandbox programs.
Which means you might not be able to do like Fraps overlay stuff.
You definitely can't do that.
Okay.
Right. But I'm talking about even like NVIDIA and AMD are going to have difficulty. Like they can't write to the file system.
Oh, so they can't do their capture.
Right. They can't do GeForce Experience doesn't function, or it has limited functionality. I don't know if you can just change INI settings in a Windows App Store based games. Like, because if you install you can't.
You can't do INI settings. You can't do modding. You can't add the game to Steam because it doesn't launch from an exe.
Right. Because like when I installed Gears of War, 55 gigabyte file.
Yeah.
I can't even go into the folder.
You have to like take ownership and crap.
Yeah, you have to like take ownership of the folder to even go into it. Right. And this is all because of security reasons. Right. Let me say this, right? So, because I know all this discussion is pooping on Microsoft, right? There are positive things that can occur from this.
Yeah, like Games for Windows Live, there was positive things from that.
There could have been, and it didn't turn out to be that way. And like this is just like, I don't want to say this is just another one of those, but it's possible this is what that is.
It's a lot of the kind of reasons.
It is.
That the other stuff didn't catch on.
It is. But so.
Like, you'd figure they would have learned that lesson before with those other things that didn't catch on.
It seems difficult not to see this as Microsoft trying to shoehorn PC gaming into their mindset of console gaming.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what most people that listen to this show or watch this show or read our website are focused on, is the idea that Microsoft is trying to consoleify your PC. And the PC, because the PC is about openness, it's about being able to run mods, it's about being able to run overlays, it's about being able to choose, I want to buy it on Humble or Origin or Steam or a DRM-free method or whatever it happens to be. And if you sell through the Windows Store, you don't do any of that.
Yeah.
Now, the positive takeaway from this is that there are going to be very few games that are Windows Store exclusive.
Sure.
Right? So if you want Rise of the Tomb Raider, don't buy it on the Windows Store. Right? You buy it on Steam.
Yeah, right.
Or Steam. You just buy it on Steam.
Especially with the issues right now, I can't even imagine why anybody would buy that game.
I agree.
On the Windows Store.
Right. But there's some people that maybe just don't know.
That would be the only reason why they would buy it there.
You buy a PC. There are people that don't watch these shows and read these websites. They buy a PC that has a video card in it. They see that the store opens up and there's a game listed for the new Tomb Raider. They like Tomb Raider. They download it. They buy it. They don't know any different.
And then they regret it, probably.
Well, they probably don't know what they're missing.
Well,
right, is one thing.
Maybe.
But it's our it's our goal to kind of educate everybody about this. So, for me, benchmarking totally changes. Like, I can't use any of the tools that I'm used to using to benchmark games sold through the Windows Store.
Yep.
Fraps doesn't work. Our frame rating capture system doesn't work.
We can capture, we just can't capture.
We can capture, but we can't force an overlay into the game.
Yeah.
And I should say that even with DirectX 12, Ashes of Singularity, not a Microsoft Store game, the only reason we were able to capture that is because the guys at Oxide were awesome enough to integrate the FCAT overlay into the game engine itself.
Yeah.
They did that. So you put a TAC FCAT on the launch property, and it runs with the overlay. Now, the problem with that is, it wasn't set up perfectly the first time. So we kind of had to go in there and help them and say, actually you need to do this color and this pattern.
Yeah.
And then they send us different EXEs. And we're like, okay, great, this works now. But
and it still doesn't work perfectly because we don't even know
we can't test AMD on it.
Well, not just that, but there's some things that were like occasionally flipping frames or something on you.
Frames are going backwards, but that's not related to FCAT. Actually, FCAT is what helped us find that.
Right. Yeah.
But and it doesn't work on AMD. But like Gears of War came out.
Mm-hmm.
They integrated a benchmark mode. It's not a good one. The results are bad, at least. I won't say the benchmark mode is bad. But like they didn't integrate any of the tools that I would like to see, like exporting frame times.
Yeah. Or
giving us an overlay or doing something like that. So benchmarking in these kind of exclusive titles is going to be very different, and there's still a lot of value in that. Right.
In being able to benchmark them.
And being able to quantify things that you see and feel in a game.
Yeah.
And this isn't to say that this is the end of the world. Microsoft has already addressed the fact that VSync off isn't a thing. Like, they said they're going to fix VSync, which we assume will make VSync off work as people expect. They're getting a lot of backlash on this. They're saying they're going to address stuff.
Right.
Windows 10 is a moving target. They're constantly updating, so it's possible this stuff will change very soon.
Right. Now, there was another thing that I published as he scrolls through his own website about an announcement from Phil Spencer, who is the head of Xbox gaming at Microsoft, talking about like merging PC and Xbox gaming. And there was a really good story, a great write-up over at The Guardian where they took a bunch of quotes from him, and I basically took some of their quotes and then made my commentary after it. And the idea is to have universal platform, universal Windows platform, universal Windows apps, the idea of being able to honestly believe that a mobile device and a PC and an Xbox can all run the same application. The experience will be close to the same. You'll have a similar experience either way. That's a positive goal to have.
They've been pushing that for a long time.
Yeah, well, they actually, Microsoft, when they first were launching Windows 10, I went to a developer conference on that a couple months back that work let me go to. They're trying to unify all the platforms into basically what they want to do is they want to do a single binary. Because right now, under pre-Windows 10, Windows 8, Windows 7, whatever, when you're building stuff, you have to build separate binaries and actually separate releases per platform. So one for mobile, one for Xbox One, one for PC, blah blah blah. What they want to do is they're actually integrating the different platform settings into the base binaries so that you can compile once, and then the settings files are picked up based on what platform you're running on. So you can configure the screen size to run on mobile, so that you have different fonts, different screen size, whatever, and then you can use the same binaries and run it on a Windows 10 PC desktop, and it'll run fine because it's set. A lot of that, a lot of that push is for web-based apps and stuff, but they're going to do the same thing for games and such as well, I would think. Because it makes sense.
This is arguably how this should all work, right? It's just the fact that Microsoft needs to let PC games function as PC games within UWP apps and allow third-party hooks to do things like overlays. That would solve everything. It's not the fact that it's a UWP app necessarily. It's the fact that they haven't built in the hooks to do the things that the game should be able to do.
Correct. But my argument in the second piece is that they probably can't do that completely.
Why not?
Because
I think some of that stuff should have been baked in a while. Like, they should have had foresight.
I mean, yes, I would agree with you there, but I think more just like of a QA issue is the problem, right? QAing PC is really tough.
Yeah.
It's tougher than a console, right?
Yeah.
And any developer will tell you that. And so what Microsoft is kind of trying to do by forcing people down a composition path, by having certain driver restrictions and kind of changing some things in DirectX 12 is they're trying to like minimize their work or minimize their chance of failure of actually being able to QA these things and get them to all function correctly,
I guess.
And so, your ability to enable VSync and disable VSync completely and go into these exclusive full screen modes where you can't run the overlays that Microsoft wants you to be able to run in order to have the experience you want you to have is kind of like they either have to, I believe, I don't know if there's a middle ground. I think you either have to let the PC do what it's been doing, or you have to like put a hard line in the sand and say, we're going to do it our way. And if AMD and NVIDIA and Intel, you guys want to sell graphics cards into this ecosystem, you can do that. Because the other thing that Phil Spencer announced is that they plan on upgrading Xbox hardware now. They're not going to like make it a 7-year cycle. They want to go like, you know what, we think your console should improve at the rate of your cell phone.
So there'll be like a Gen 2, Gen 3, Gen 4 of the same thing.
Which could only be a positive for us as PC gamers.
Sure.
Right? We always worry about the console holding us back. Right? The console hardware today is already holding us back. It's limited in its performance capability.
Yeah.
And if they can improve on that, then that gives game developers a higher target minimum baseline to go to. Right? And same thing going forward. Now you get all kinds of other things that could happen with that would be negative, but the potential there is.
So let's say Microsoft built in API hooks to do overlays. Would not running an exclusive full screen mode be a big deal at that point? And they allowed VSync tearing. Like, those are the two main concessions here.
They also have
you wouldn't care if it was running
refresh. They have to make variable refresh work. But assuming they made all those things work, like that's,
if they made everything
a game doesn't need to run
Sure.
Microsoft, like, your QA argument's somewhat true, but if Microsoft was building in these hooks, then they could unit test these hooks and QA stuff.
Yeah.
It's the fact that Fraps is hooking on to a random DLL and injecting code and doing God knows what. That's an issue.
Fraps actually like intercepts the whole frame buffer, puts something on it, and then passes the frame buffer.
It's injecting onto a DLL.
Yeah.
Alan,
it is.
I mean, like that's how that works, right?
Yeah, it's similar, but it's just with a frame buffer instead of with a DLL.
Yeah. Because that's how the frame rating overlay works.
Yeah,
it's doing the exact same thing.
Yeah,
like and that's what kind of bugs me about all this so much is that like, okay, Microsoft had to have known that all that stuff was a thing, right?
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, we're going to do this DX12 stuff. We're going to have these exclusive games, and we're going to make the games run in this full screen windowed thing, right? Like, seriously, could there not have been a person that raised their hand and went, hey, like, we should be doing all the same things that everybody else already does?
They had great success with Halo 2 and Vista.
See, exactly, right? It's just like, somebody must have, like, brought that up, you would think.
It's not the same thing as Halo 2
It's not
and
the same thing,
It's not anywhere near
but it's the same thought process and decision-making ability.
No, it's not.
I think it's similar.
Halo 2 and Vista was a pure business decision. Let's make people upgrade to Vista. That was exactly what that was. Let's make it DX10 only. Let's make people upgrade to Vista. Let's not put DX10 on XP. This is a different Microsoft trying to make technology better. They don't quite understand what PC gamers want, and that's why the backlash that people are giving them.
Yeah, but like Games for Windows Live was their attempt to make it better. as well. You could make the argument that there's no reason DirectX 12 should be Windows 10 exclusive, right? That would be a business decision to push people there. I don't know if that's true or not.
Well, it's like the fact that the Xbox and the PC are kind of sharing a code base at this point may make that a way more reasonable thing than backporting it. Like the Xbox games and Windows games in 5 years should both be universal binaries. You should just be able to play anything either place.
Yeah, especially if they upgrade Xbox hardware at a higher cadence.
Yeah.
Then I don't see a problem with that. But I don't know if
I think we will get there.
I don't know if they're committed enough to what people like about PC gaming in order to, like, for me to believe that they're going to do that the right way. I think they have to prove it more than us just believe it. They've had too many instances of it going the wrong direction.
So far, it is the wrong direction. Like, they're totally not proving it so far.
I mean, we need to give them a chance to prove it. They say they're going to make it better. So.
You're right. But
maybe the design, let's expand upon this a little bit and go beyond where your article is talking.
All right.
When leveraging AMD and their technology and saying, hey, we want this, 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 and this, can you make a chip for us? And they do a design using all of their technology that they have implemented in previous products, and they put it in one package.
Right.
Is it now so much cheaper than what they previously experienced with the Xbox and the Xbox 360, where there was so much design work in so many different places? Now they can just go to AMD and say, hey, could you do this, 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 and this in a recipe? I mean, obviously it's not entirely that easy, but it's got to be easier than trying to milk out everything over a 7-year period.
Yes, agreed.
But you also have market pressure, though. If Sony's not updating the PS4, why should Microsoft update the Xbox? That saying that kills me as a technologist, because I love upgrading my hardware. I want the fastest, biggest thing I can afford, much to my wife's ire. But seriously, if there's no market pressure, it's just like any other market. If there's no market pressure, look at prime examples. What Intel did with the CPU market. Look how much it slowed down since AMD went kaput. Well, they didn't go kaput in the CPU market, but they basically slowed down a lot. Intel had no pressure, so they stopped innovating quickly.
Right.
Xbox, PS4, same thing. One counterpoint I wanted to make, though, was with DX11. How long did it take from when DX11 launched to when it became fully embraced? Because we were probably looking at the same thing with DX12. That one took a long time.
It's interesting. I don't think it will be on the same time span. DX11 took a long time.
There's more motivation for people to move.
Actually, maybe it's
DX12.
DX10 that took forever.
DX10 took forever. DX11 was such a positive experience as compared to 10 that it was pretty quickly
I think the move to 12 will be relatively quick as well. Now, what pathway of 12? Because there's still like the 12 that kind of acts like 11, and then there's the 12 that acts like a brand new API. And what the restrictions are of either are still unknown. I think this is a really complicated topic. Obviously, I'm trying very hard to get somebody from Microsoft that's like willing to come on and have like a worthwhile conversation with us about it. I tried to get Phil Spencer to come on our stream on Sunday, and so far he has not replied.
I don't think that those guys even know what answers they want to say to anybody right now. That may be true and honest. That may be honestly true, right? That they don't know yet what their answers are. Yeah.
Can I posit this thought?
You can try.
Probably.
Posit away.
I'm not saying that they meant it to do this, but they're putting their foot forward with DX12, and going through the compositing engine in Windows 10. And obviously, you're going to have a multitude of developers who say, you know what, this is not the right way to do that. And here's why. Someone kind of had to make a move. I mean, yeah, we had AMD with Mantle, and now we've got Vulkan. Mm-hmm. But they don't seriously change the technology like DX12 sort of is, especially in how it relates to all of the underlying technology and how it is presented to the end user in this one screen, 3 screens, however many, and the experience going against possibly FreeSync and G-Sync. Do you think that they're going to be agile enough to take the good with the bad and adjust their solution?
I think it's way more likely now than it was when Games for Windows Live launched. I don't think we're looking at the same Microsoft. Windows 10 they're not like Windows XP, Windows 7. They never really got major upgrades to the functionality of the operating system until a service pack.
Yeah,
now it's a rolling target that they keep constantly improving, and they say this is the OS we're going to stick with, and they're pushing it. They want 10 million people to have it installed or whatever this year. Like, I don't think this is a whim. I think this is something that was half baked and kind of pushed out because, like, Gears of War launched as a surprise yesterday.
Well, it was not a surprise to like Microsoft. It was a surprise to hardware vendors and gamers and software vendors.
Microsoft is a large corporation. Doesn't mean both heads were necessarily talking to each other. It was like it was a.
I think it would be. I think it would be a mistake to assume that the people that were releasing the game weren't also the people that like kind of knew about these discussions that were happening.
Oh, I don't think the people who decided to release the game are people who know about DirectX exclusive flip modes.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true.
I think that is very foolish to think about.
I would bet that Phil Spencer directly was involved in all of those decisions, right? Or people directly underneath him. So
now, like, can you make a DirectX 12 game that does not have to run?
Yes. So the only statement I've actually gotten from Microsoft officially at this point is that there's no reason why a game developer can't still make an exclusive full screen game.
Okay.
Right.
That makes me feel somewhat
now
better.
When I asked about Windows Store stuff, like any ability to do that in the future, they're like, blah blah blah. We're still developing everything.
Locked down or whatever. And,
right. So, but there's no reason at this point that if you buy a DirectX 12 game through Steam, it should not have exclusive full screen. So back to the original thing at this topic, probably AMD has an issue with their driver that they need to fix in order to enable the exclusive full screen.
So
mode.
all that
we would not have had any of this.
It's hilarious how that all forced this.
But even if you can do pure full screen on DX12, you still have the overlay issue, right?
Yes.
You can't hook into DX12.
That is correct. Okay. Yes, you still have that. It's a different can of worms than the store can of worms, but it is still a small worm can.
Yeah, it's significant for benchmarking standpoint.
It is.
But,
yes.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'll stop talking. The comments will tear me apart, I'm sure.
So let's go ahead and very quickly, Josh, tell me what AMD released today.
Okay, yesterday? Yes,
sure,
yesterday. AMD released updates and refreshes to the FM2 Plus platform. The 7890K unlock Godavari-based APU running at 4.0 to 4.2 gigahertz. Or is it 4.1 to 4.3? I think it's 4.1 to 4.3.
Yes.
Yeah. And so it's their now fastest APU quad core.
Right.
And it's got the GPU running as well at 866 megahertz. They also released the 880K, which previously we had the 860K, and then somehow released the 870K, but you still can't really buy those. And this one runs the 880K at 4.0 to 4.2 gigahertz, but it has no GPU. Both 95 watt parts, and complement the latest 9860K, which runs as fast, essentially, as the 7850K, the original Cavalry. That was a 95 watt part. Well, the 7860K is 65 watts. Same performance in the CPU, essentially, but it increases the GPU clock from 720 megahertz to 866 megahertz. You get a jump in graphics performance, and you're getting 30 watts less TDP. They also talked about extensively the Wraith cooler that they're boxing with the 7890K. They have the non-shrouded cooler that's still based on the Wraith, but it has no LED, no shroud. And be with like the 880K and the 7870K going from March 1st and onward. So what AMD has essentially done, they've done some tweaks in firmware and with the design to get TDPs back down. They've worked with Global Foundries. They've enhanced their 28 nanometer HK metal gate process to give them a little bit better performance and some better bins and yield to be able to give us these products. Pricing is a little high for the 7890. I think it's $165, but the 880K, which gives you pretty much all the performance. You've got the PCIe 3.0 support by the by 16 connection that you can do cross. I don't know if you can do SLI yet with those. I don't think so. But anyway, you've got the ability to make a really nice gaming machine because that thing, it runs pretty fast, and it's only like $95. So you do that with the inexpensive motherboard and the GPU of your desire, choice, whatever.
Fair enough.
And you've got a nice little gaming system for really, really cheap. Yeah. So those are some nice upgrades that AMD has done. They're still working. They've got a long road ahead till Zen.
Right.
Coming November, December timeframe. But, they're still pushing.
Fair enough. All right. And I just sent you a processor. Which one did I send you?
7860K.
Yeah, so you'll have a review up on that relatively soon. So we'll broach these subjects again in the not too distant future. Let's take a quick break here. A little bit too late into the show than I would normally like to do it, and thank today's podcast sponsor. That would be Braintree Payments. Did you guys know that by next year, maybe even next week, there could be a whole new way to pay? Ironically, I did hear that like Bitcoin had some issues. Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit later. Maybe it will be the next Bitcoin because Bitcoin is having. I did just bring this up. Apparently, Bitcoin now has increased. Every time you made a Bitcoin transaction, it used to take about 8 minutes for it to process because they had to distribute computing everywhere to do it.
Yeah.
Now it's up to 45 minutes, and so the whole They hit a capacity of workload in Bitcoin. It was funny. But anyway, maybe you'll find the next Bitcoin, or somebody will make it, or maybe make the next Apple Pay, or maybe it'll be a combination of both. Fortunately, Braintree's full stack payment platform is easily adaptable to whatever the future holds, so you can adapt easily too. Maybe you want to stop accepting Bitcoin. I bet that's pretty easy to turn off if you're using Braintree Payments. Accept everything from pounds to PayPal to that next big innovation from any device with just one integration. And when that new payment method comes out, all you have to do is update a few lines of code. No late nights, no complicated recoding, no stress about staying ahead of the curve. Braintree Payments is here to help. Learn more at braintreepayments.com/PCPer. They have simple, secure payments, code you can integrate quickly. If you don't have time to do it, you can give them a call. They'll actually do the integration for you. Braintree code supports Android, iOS, JavaScript. It runs on .NET, Node.js, Java, Perl, PHP, Python, Ruby, and it is elegant code with very clear documentation. So we thank Braintree for their support of the PC Perspective podcast. And again, at URL, braintreepayments.com/PCPer.
Awesome.
All right. So we're going to run through these news items quicker than you could ever imagine.
It just keeps getting quicker.
Just keeps getting faster. Hey, I 3D printed things.
Hey, you did.
Actually, to be fair, I 3D printed this.
You assembled the printer, and then you printed.
I started this, and then I left.
Then you left, and then Ken had fun with it while you were gone.
It was it was probably halfway up the wings on this. It was pretty close to done.
Yeah,
it maybe had 45 minutes left. So if you're interested in 3D printing, like I am, but you have no idea what it is or how it works or how to start, I posted a video called Ryan 3D Prints Part 1. It Begins, where we looked at hardware coming from Monoprice, not that particular one, but this particular one. Printer that was what's this, $299?
$350.
$350 is a $350 printer. Monoprice sent us this. They sent us a bunch of different filaments. In this video, we show you how we set up the printer, how we print this headless swan.
Yeah.
In that photo, we were just getting started, as well as these other things. We've had an elephant, a chair. Ken even eventually printed out this boat while I was in Mobile World Congress. It's actually a pretty nice boat.
Yeah.
It floats.
Does it float? I was going to ask you.
Upside down.
Oh.
It floats upside down.
That's bad news for the people
Did you
on
ever
the
see
boat.
Big Bang Theory when they bought the $2,500 3D printer?
No.
That they can make 25-cent whistles out of?
Oh man, I should make a whistle.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in this, it's actually really cool. We talk about like what the different filament types are, what the setup process is, how you calibrate it. You can see like the first step of how you print the first thing, right? This unit actually has a freestanding processing part of it, so you just put an SD card with a particular file format on it, and that's how we printed our Swan for the first time. So we're going to do some more of this, and we're going to do a 3D printing challenge of some kind during our live stream on Sunday. We may start something printing and have people guess. Yeah. Like every guest that comes on, maybe we'll get to guests, try to guess what they get. People who come on later get a little bit more.
What's on the printer now?
What's in the box? What's in the box? So that's Ryan 3D Prints Part 1. Check that out. We were thinking about we were going to try to do another one this week, but I think with all the scheduling of the Sunday event,
I think at some point this week I'll have a stream running. Just point at the printer because I need to test a bunch of stuff.
All right, we will figure that out. Other news, Tesla Motors hires Peter Bannon of Apple. We talked about this a couple weeks ago where they hired Jim Keller, the guy who used to work at AMD, then worked at Apple, then worked at AMD, and now works at Tesla, designing CPU architectures in previous jobs. Now they have hired Peter Bannon, who was a colleague of Jim Keller's at Apple.
PA Micro?
PA Semi.
PA Semi. Yeah, there you go. Jim Keller is at Tesla as their vice president of autopilot hardware engineering, but we don't yet know what Peter Bannon's title will be. Do we assume now that Tesla has to be building their own chips? They don't need two people of this pedigree to pick the best chip.
You mean for future products?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're making hardware. Like, they have to be.
Right? Like, that's what it has to be.
Well, my theory is probably still like the integration chip that's tying all that crap together with 3D, with the vision stuff and the autopilot stuff.
Sure, they might make a general purpose SoC that is...
Yeah.
Do you know how many engineers it takes to make a modern SoC?
3.
No.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, you need the guys like this to manage. Like,
yeah, but we don't hear about low-level hires. I don't hear about.
That's
people.
true.
Like, why would you hire Jim Keller
manage.
and then the guy responsible for like A5 and A6 at PA Semi? If you're not making chips,
I mean, it's possible that Elon just wanted to piss off Apple. Like, he's that kind of he would do that.
He could, yeah,
right.
I guess.
I don't. They might just be working on the factory line for all I know, right?
Sure.
Whatever. I don't know. I just thought it was pretty interesting, and I don't. If they were hired to develop chips, it will be years before we see a product or an announcement using it.
Yeah.
It's not like at the Model 3 unveil at the end of this month, they'll be like, oh yeah, and it's all using all of our own processors.
and it's now shipping in 2025.
Yeah. Sorry for all the people who wanted to get your
No, they're just going to
today.
cross-license Zen.
Yeah. I think Scott had an interesting theory that would Tesla be willing to like open source processors meant for self-driving?
Oh, okay. I don't think they're going to do that. I think that their whole open patent
security
stuff
thing.
No, I think that their whole open patent stuff is great to get. They wanted like electric automobiles to be a thing,
Right.
but the SoC stuff is not specific. Like that's their like proprietary, brand stuff.
Maybe.
Right? Like that's not the same as opening all the patents for like the design of electric motors for 3D or for electric cars.
3D printing.
Yeah. All that stuff like so I can see them, opening like the battery technology stuff a little bit maybe,
Right.
and like the drivetrain stuff and all that for the, for electric automobiles, so that other companies can get into that market, but they're not going to give them like the keys to the kingdom.
I think the way this works is right now they're depending on Mobileye for autonomous driving, for vision and stuff. I don't think they want to, and I don't think they want to depend on NVIDIA either. So whether it be buying mostly off the shelf ARM cores from ARM and then making tweaks to stuff to like maybe a mostly general SoC from somebody that they tweak to be more applicable to computer vision or something like that. But I think their goal was to replace third parties handling their computer vision.
Well, you know what the bad part about that is?
What's that?
You have no one to sue.
You essentially create another SoC that you keep having to push money in to compete with the guys who are leveraging NVIDIA and all their R&D that's doing this. So Audi, Mercedes, whoever who may, integrate this, 3D vision technology from NVIDIA. Tesla's got to try to recreate that on a shoestring as compared to what NVIDIA can do.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll be interested to see how that goes. Alan, Western Digital infuses consumer hard drives with HelioSeal tech, which Ken properly points out is a really cool name.
I think that's a really good trade name.
Yeah.
This is what? Helium drives up to 8 terabytes?
That's actually HGST is who started with that whole
HelioSeal?
The name. That name started with the HE6.
Oh,
The enterprise drive from them, right?
Okay.
And the whole idea is you're trying to keep helium in a thing, and usually it diffuses out. So, the whole thing that let this even be a technology that can exist is the fact that the way that they seal that enclosure keeps the helium from diffusing out.
HelioSeal.
Which is HelioSeal, right?
It's just like a little epoxy, some.
It's probably like a special
Gorilla Glue.
Well, it has to be something special and high enough density to stop helium from diffusing, because helium likes to diffuse through things. It's very light, and it's
a very small atom.
Yeah, it's very small atoms. It's harder to seal against that leaking than other things.
But I got to ask this:
Yeah,
do the platters spin at a higher pitch?
you mean RPM?
No.
No, pitch.
They
sound.
spin at a higher
Like when you
pitch.
higher voice. It's,
Oh,
Josh, I was with you on that one. I'm not usually, but I was with you on that
I'm
one.
I'm glad someone
you were. You were, but no. So I will say that they are using thinner platters in these drives,
All right.
and they stack them 7 high, which is
Okay.
pretty high.
Well, there's less turbulence, so you don't need as much structural strength to keep them from vibrating as much.
Yep, you don't need as much of that. You don't need as much of an air gap. Actually, you're just not going to get as much of a gap between the head and the disc itself, because there's just less dense air between the two. So the whole Bernoulli effect thing is the head's going to fly even
Bring it
lower.
a little bit closer.
Yeah. And there's a bunch of other advantages for these things. I just like the idea that atmospheric contaminants, just chemicals floating around in the air, right? Like regular hard drives, they actually permeate in because they're vented. They just have a little piece of filter to stop dust from getting in. But, things that are vaporous or just stuff that's in the air can kind of permeate in and potentially screw up what's inside the hard drive, right? So just
like my
things.
vaporized bath salts.
Sure. But
So is this
but for these
necessary for drives to get to 8 terabytes, you think?
I think this is. It seems apparent that Western Digital decided that they did not want to go 8 terabytes until
They had helium.
until they did this.
Okay.
Now, I mean, you can buy Seagate 8 terabyte drives that don't have helium in them.
And 10, too, can't you?
And, well, their 10, I think, isn't. No, I think their 10 is a helium one.
If I put an 8 terabyte HelioSeal drive in a balloon, will it float away?
Will it float away?
What if I
it
poke
needs
a
to be a really big
hole
balloon.
in the helium drive?
What?
If I poke a hole in the helium drive,
Then it won't work anymore.
what if I poke a hole in it and suck the helium out? Will my voice change?
Oh. There probably won't even be enough helium in it. There was actually some comments talking about,
we discussed that. What is the pressure inside of it?
it would just be normal pressure. They wouldn't really.
They don't need to fill it
It's going to be 1A.
high pressure helium.
They wouldn't want to, because then you're more likely
You're
for it to leak.
increasing the density.
And you're increasing the density. Yeah, that's the whole point. Is to
Okay.
you want just enough in there to actually have the heads fly above the disk, right? And to actually transfer the heat, because you need something to transfer the heat. You can't just have a vacuum, otherwise the platters would just start cooking.
Yeah.
Because
Fair enough.
Because the motor would make heat and it wouldn't be able to
Do we have
Spread the heat.
pricing availability on these drives? No.
I've seen that the 8 terabyte is supposed to be $300 for the red.
Sure.
So it's going to be there were people saying, "Oh, helium is so scarce," and stuff like that. And back when the HE6 launched, it was 10,000 or 20,000 hard drives can be filled by a standard helium tank, like the thing you see at the store,
Yeah.
where they're filling up the kids' balloons and stuff.
So you take
right?
away one kid's birthday party, and all your drives
like
are
a few
fine.
birthday parties will fill.
You put some clowns out of business.
And like 19% or 20% of all the helium production is used for kids' birthday parties, basically.
Right.
For balloons.
Right.
And hard drive usage, back when the HE6 launched, they said it was 1%. Okay, maybe it goes up to 2 or 3%. It's still a far cry from birthday party balloon use, So
Is there no other gas we
We
can
need to
use
start
for
doing
balloons
hydrogen
than helium?
balloons for birthday parties. Make things much more exciting.
see, we could always just shift the kids' birthdays.
What
to
was
hydrogen.
that? What was that we learned while we were doing this research? That the reason that they had to use hydrogen for the
For the Hindenburg.
was because we had all the helium and
the
refused
U.S.
to give it to them.
The U.S. at first was like they had the market
The strategic
on helium
reserve.
production.
In Louisiana, of all places.
Yeah, and then they made a strategic helium reserve, but because the U.S. was the only people that could do that initially, that's why the Hindenburg went up in flames,
Hydrogen.
basically.
My bad.
Yeah.
My bad. All right.
Our bad.
What else we got?
Sorry.
Samsung released a handful of monitors this week. Curved 1080p monitors, lower cost.
16 by 9 1080p monitors.
16. Wait, what?
16 by 9 curved monitors.
Yeah. What did I say?
You didn't, but
Well, they're 1080p. Of course, they're 16 by 9. I mean, it's kind of whatever. They're 1920 by
you still have 1080 tall.
kind of implies
There are
16 by
21 by 9
It does, doesn't it?
No, there are 21 by 9 monitors that are 1080 tall.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but you don't call them 1080p
I wouldn't call them
usually.
1080p, but understood.
Yeah.
So 1920 by 1080 resolution monitors. They have them in 23 and 27-inch varieties. They're curved with the curvature of 1800R, which is, I forgot, now I blanked on what that is. It's like 1800 something. It tells you how much the curvature is.
Oh, it's like a radius?
Something like that. Like
Okay.
it's an 18, maybe that is. It's an 1800 millimeter radius, like if it went all the way around or something. And
1800. So like if you drew an arc,
Yeah.
how far out?
I think
you drawing the arc?
it's something like that,
Something
and
like that.
I'm probably getting it wrong, but that's an indication of what the angle of curvature is. Now, what's interesting about these is these are the first monitors that were released with HDMI-based FreeSync.
Oh.
So we saw these at Computex last June. We saw them again at CES in January.
So it's HDMI 2, right? For that resolution, I would think.
1080.
1080p.
Oh, it's just regular. It's straight 1080p.
It's just 1080p. It doesn't have to be HDMI.
Yeah, it doesn't have to
2.0.
be 2 for that. No.
Now, what's interesting is, so as is normally the case with FreeSync monitors, they don't talk about minimum refresh rates. They only talk about like the refresh rate. They mentioned 60. I've heard from a couple of places that it may actually be higher than 60. It may be like 72 or 75.
Okay.
Which would kind of be like, yeah, of course you like a 1080p 60 hertz FreeSync monitor kind of makes no sense,
Sure.
right? And even at 75, it's kind of a stretch for being useful. I don't think these are really gaming targeted monitors. We don't have pricing yet, but the hope is that they're between $200 and $300, depending on which size and configuration you get. They're VA panels, but they're not branded as gaming monitors. If you look at them, they don't look like gaming monitors. But what is important about this announcement is that it is kind of showing that, hey, FreeSync with its kind of openness, no hardware required thing, like if you could just integrate it on every display, that would be great.
Yeah.
Right? If everything had support for at least that VRR tech, NVIDIA doesn't want to do that with G-Sync, that's fine. If you could integrate it across everything else, HDMI, DisplayPort, whatever, then that's only going to be beneficial for people moving forward, right? So, like I said, I wouldn't consider this a gaming monitor. It doesn't really have anything that kind of says gaming otherwise. Like, if you want a gaming monitor, you want a 120 hertz display, or you want a 144 hertz display, whether it be TN or IPS or whatever,
Right.
whatever your budget is. But the point of HDMI over FreeSync over HDMI rather is lower cost, wider kind of array of available panels, and this kind of addresses that. So useful at least, maybe more interesting once we actually get pricing. This is a real quick mention: NVIDIA GeForce drivers. Updated GeForce drivers for, I guess these came out yesterday, Far Cry Primal and Gears of War Ultimate Edition. I had totally forgotten that Far Cry Primal was even a thing that was coming out. Didn't they just announce it at E3 this year?
It was after E3.
Was it
I
really?
think so. Yeah.
That was like last fall when they first mentioned what it was going to be.
Huh.
It had the big thing where they, you go to the website and
Yeah.
The stream
it was like the
was
crackling
going, and it was
fire
like
and you saw the cave wall with the stuff on there.
Yeah. It looks pretty good from what I've seen, and I haven't run any testing on it yet, but it is apparently a fairly GPU-intense game as well, so it may be useful for us to look at for benchmarking purposes, but with all the other stuff going on, I didn't have a chance to really sit down and play with it. And it also apparently has some fixes for the Gears of War stuff in there as well. Beta support on GeForce GTX GPUs for external graphics over Thunderbolt 3.
I think the
that's kind of interesting.
AMD driver added that this week too. Or
Maybe there's something occurring this week or next week.
It's like a razor blade might come out.
It's almost
It's like the laptop, not like the thing that cuts you.
like the cut you razor blade.
Yeah.
But we saw that at CES too. That wouldn't be a huge surprise, but it's fine there. It includes all GTX 900 GPUs, Titan X, GeForce 750, GTX 750 and 750 Ti for Thunderbolt 3 support. So that's nice. That's an improvement. This is interesting. For multi-GPU configurations, WDDM usage, which is the Windows Display Driver model 2.0. For non-SLI multi-GPU configurations, Fermi GPUs use 2.0. In SLI mode, Fermi GPUs will use WDDM 1.3. Application SLI profiles. That's interesting. I wonder if that means, like, I bet in Windows Store games, SLI doesn't work on Fermi.
I can't imagine it does.
That would be my guess, because they'd have to use WDDM 2.0. Interesting things from drivers, I guess. Were we almost at the end here?
You had to add extra stories.
I did extra stories. Josh, what do you make of this graph? This JPR noting a huge increase in enthusiast AIBs. Does that look possible to you?
Could you say that again? Because you just done broke up.
It's probably,
and maybe I even dropped with you.
Well, you're right. So JPR had this story where they talked about a huge increase in enthusiast add-in cards.
Yeah,
in
you don't think that graph makes sense, but it kind of does.
Okay, why?
So essentially, overall add-in boards have gone down in shipments by a pretty significant amount, almost 1/2. However, of that remaining amount, a larger portion are these enthusiast add-in boards, whether or not, they're like, $150 and above.
Yeah.
But people, okay, so we've got two things. One, we've got good enough graphics from Intel and AMD and their integrated stuff that people don't mind. And then you've got that group of people, of gamers and whatnot, who say, you know what? That's just not enough for me. I want 3 monitors. I want them running at 144 hertz.
Right.
I want to do all these things. And so I need a certain amount of horsepower to be able to do these things. And so they're a higher proportion of the people who are buying these boards rather than just the average user who's spending $80 on a really low-end board. Because that same performance can be given by Intel and AMD on their CPUs and APU.
Right.
Now,
so we've seen that shift up.
Now, Josh, do you think the pending VR stuff and augmented reality stuff has some effect on that too? Because people may be thinking about that I'll upgrade my video card and be ready.
I don't think so. I think that may be just a kind of organic growth of PC gaming, and it is a growth industry. Certainly everybody thought that consoles are going to take over everything, but when you've got 7 years in between hardware upgrades, and people can see these gradual but very significant changes year to year on the PC, I think people are paying a lot more attention to the PC and the things that it can do. And this just seems like it's an offspurt of that we see these $75 to $85 to $90 boards sold in nearly the quantity as they used to 5 years ago. Now, if people want good performance, they're going to be looking at $150 minimum. And then everything above that is just kind of gravy for not only them and their experience, but these add-in board partners and AMD and NVIDIA.
Interesting. Yeah, that's higher profitable parts, I guess, as well, in general.
Yeah.
That's all. That's an improvement. I know you guys talked a lot about the Mobile World Congress stuff while I was there last year, so I'm just going to mention this one thing real fast. If you haven't seen my little video walkthrough of the Huawei MateBook, Huawei spelled Huawei.
How else would you spell it?
Wait a minute. Do you see that on that thing? Where that YouTube video says I'm live on Twitch?
Yeah.
And then it said I was live on YouTube? How does it know that?
Interesting.
I don't know.
Okay, anyway. So the Huawei MateBook is a 2-in-1. It's a tablet with a keyboard dock type thing, similar to a Surface tablet, Surface Pro type thing. Much slimmer, much sleeker looking than those devices. It's still powered by a Skylake processor.
Looks like a leather folio.
It does. It's a really, really nice piece of hardware. I'm trying to get one in for testing and maybe just so I can have it, so I can use it, because I like the idea of this. It's super thin and light. The battery life claims are pretty good. The screen is fantastic. The build quality is great. I know Huawei is not really a well-known brand here in the U.S. This is their first entry into the PC market, which is also interesting. They've done mobile devices. I think, Ken, you said this is the first time they've made something that didn't have a modem in it, like a WAN modem.
It's at least pretty close, if not.
Or at least pretty close, yeah. It's got active stylus. It has an optional USB Type-C dock that has gigabit Ethernet, HDMI, and 2 USB 3.0 ports on it. And it's a fully functioning PC, and it starts, I think, as low as $699 with the Core M3 processor, 128 gigs of storage, and 8 gigs of RAM. Maybe it was 4 gigs of RAM. I don't remember which one it was. The keyboard feels nice. Trackpad feels pretty good. And this is going to be available. They didn't say exactly, but within a couple of months is kind of what they told me. So if you haven't seen this video on the Huawei MateBook, I would recommend checking it out, because I think it'll be a pretty impressive device. This, and I think Samsung launched one at CES as well. This is kind of like what Intel envisioned when they built the Core M processor, right? Was this?
Now, Ryan, did they? And I'm not joking when I ask about this, even though it might sound like a joke. Did they say anything about its how well it takes a fall? Because I know not for my wife and her cohort who travel a lot when they're working. I looked into some things for them for like Surface 4s and all. And Surface 4s have some really nice integrated cases with keyboards that are like mil-spec drop rated. You can drop them 4 foot and it won't crack the screen or break it or anything. Did they say anything about that with this Huawei MateBook? No, nothing like that. Yeah, I mean, that's a good question to have on the durability of these types of things. But it's thin. It's probably going to be more on the more fragile side than like a Surface Pro device would be. But I really can't say for sure. So yeah, that's kind of the last cleanup thing I wanted to bring up from Mobile World Congress. Now, before we get into our picks of the week, I did want to show this off. So this is what we 3D printed last week, and this is what Randy 3D printed for us last week.
Out of sandstone.
Yeah, so I didn't know what that was. Like,
it's resin and sand.
So
basically,
Randy, I won't give his full name just in case. Randy S sent me an email, a couple weeks ago, actually less than 2 weeks ago, saying that hey, he made this model. We were talking about the 3D printing stuff, and so he made this. He said, and he gave me an update. It was like printing and gross depowdering were complete. Post processing and infiltration is tomorrow. Infiltration apparently being the dipping in hardener to pop the colors. Right, so there's actually a picture of it. I don't have it on this right machine where like the colors are kind of dim and not filled in all the way.
I think you should send me this model so we can see how terrible our version.
Yeah, Randy, if you hear this, send us the model for this so we can try to print it in single color.
And everyone can laugh at us.
And we can compare the difference. This is really, really nice. The company is Triangle Prototype. TrianglePrototype.com is what he has here on the back.
Yeah.
This is really awesome. I don't know what the size of this, but this, I would love this to have, like, I'm not going to ask him to do something like this for free. Maybe I'll ask how much he will do it. Like a bigger version of this, to like put on a wall or like put on a set or something.
I think they can only make them so big. Is
really?
The thing. Yeah.
That printer should have.
I mean, it's
pretty
pretty
big build
heavy
area.
and dense for the size that it is. I just like this is something I could see when I'm old and retired one day.
You want on your wall.
Like I used to do that thing. All right, I don't know, and put it like.
Or you can
under
bury it in the
wafer.
backyard because you're so embarrassed.
Ryan's already
that you did.
Ryan's already planning a shadow box for his career.
Yeah, I got the wafer and then the PC Perspective logo over it, and it's even kind of like angled down, so I could get one of those lights you see at museums that like points
and
up
shine
and
it
it kind
up
of gets
and
a little
stuff, yeah.
shadow and stuff on there. I think that'd
Snazzy.
be really good. Yeah. So thank you, Randy, for that. That's pretty awesome, and it shows you like. Obviously, his equipment is a lot higher end than the stuff we're playing with right now, but that looks really, really good.
Yeah.
Looks really good.
Yeah. The resolution's really good on it.
Yeah, I'm impressed. All right, hardware software picks of the week, everybody. I had picked these TronSmart USB cables, and then I brought them over, and now I don't like them anymore. So these are USB 2.0
Yeah.
Type-C cables.
It's the cheap way of making a USB Type-C to Type-C cable.
Correct. So these are mostly meant for people who are buying phones that have Type-C connectors that want to charge them,
Yeah.
right?
And
For
sync.
$6.99 and sync them, right?
Yeah.
But there's not going to run at USB 3.0 speeds. At least we
Nope.
don't think so. Could
Although-
you just try one and see if it works?
It doesn't have
all the pins.
It doesn't have all the pins.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a much higher grade cable to do the USB 3 speeds.
Yeah.
You can usually tell just by how thin the cables are.
So this is a 2-pack for $9.
That's not bad.
So it's still a pretty good price. But
So when you buy that new Nexus, be sure to pick up a box or two of these.
right, if you get the new Nexus or the LG G5, it uses Type-C. The Samsung Galaxy's S7s do
Does
not
not,
use Type-C.
The T3.
The what?
The T3 SSD.
Yeah, but
External
SSD. But performance, would that be fast enough for that?
No,
What?
it'd be 40 megs a second. It's USB.
Oh,
2.
yeah, that cable would not
yeah.
be that great. It would still work, but... you know.
Yeah. I was under the impression that those were cables that they sent us that did like USB 3.0 speeds, or 3.1 speeds. But oh well.
Oop.
Such is life. Who do we got? Who am I forgetting here? Josh?
Everybody forgets me, and that's
We
okay
try.
because I'm forgettable.
No.
Well, anyway, you know what? I sometimes sound like a broken record. But after I have taken my pedals for my racing gear and try to put some lumber behind it so it touches the wall and it doesn't move and bolt things in, it's so much nicer to just have something that works. And this thing apparently does. It's the Thrustmaster Pro set of it's got the metal base, the three pedals. You can have them in either the F1 or the GT configuration. GT is the pivot point is above, F1 pivot point is below.
Yep,
And
I
most
see.
regular ones with the like the T3 RS. Oh, very nice picture. Are all F1 with the pedals that rotate from the bottom. But the number 2 is what you have in most of your other cars,
Right.
and is most popular with pretty much everything. So this thing, it's heavy, doesn't move unless you really pound on it. You can set up the pedals how you want it and comfortable, highly configurable. I mean, it's $150. It's not cheap, but I think that's going to last you a very, 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 very long time.
Gotcha.
And you can change it around. You'd be happy for once in your life.
for once.
Once.
It's okay. We're all right with that. Cool. Alan.
So, finally upgraded my camera.
Finally. After years. Years.
No. I had a RX10 Sony, and then I finally got the RX10 II. Mainly because at CES when I walked over and checked it out when I was at the show floor thing.
Weird, I didn't know you covered cameras.
Well, I didn't I didn't walk
I didn't
over
see
there
your
and
write-up.
write a review on it. But I just picked it up real quick and saw the only thing that really bugged me about the awesome lens that's on the RX10 is that its macro was really bad. Like, you couldn't get nice close-up shots because if you tried to zoom in a 200 millimeter, you had to be like 3 feet away from the thing you were taking a picture of, just because it couldn't focus that close. This one is almost a foot away at 200 millimeters, so the macro is like really, really pretty cool. And we were looking at some video we took today of displays running the windmill demo, like variable refresh rate stuff.
The demo we normally use. For
the demo
that,
normally use and take stills of to see how overdrive responds. And we were actually able to shoot that at 960 frames per second and watch a 144 hertz G-Sync panel, like watch the actual pixels rendering or like painting
that's pretty cool
from top to bottom. It was pretty cool because you could see exactly if there was any kind of ghosting or how long it was on the screen for or any of that. It was just like, so we might have some interesting stuff in future display reviews just by being able to almost stop time with a camera.
Plus, it has a pop-up
Cameras
flash.
always stop time.
It does have a pop-up flash. The last one. This is so all the external stuff on the RX 10 Mark II. It is virtually identical. I actually put it next to my RX 10 today, and like the mold that they use for the hand.
They just use the same dye.
It's the same molds. Like,
have you tried the drop test?
No, I'm not going to drop this camera.
You're still within your return policy.
Yeah, but that whole 960 is really damn fast for a capture rate. It can only do that at a good resolution for 2 seconds, and by good I mean like
1150 by 3 something.
Yeah, it's really not that great. But
it'll do it for how long? You said
it'll do 2 seconds at that resolution.
Okay.
This camera is actually really cool from a technology perspective.
Yeah.
It's the first camera ever to integrate memory on the sensor, which is why they can do this stuff.
Okay.
Yeah,
there's enough buffer on the sensor, HBM essentially, that they can dump 2 seconds of 960 FPS or really high continuous shooting and stuff like that.
Yep.
And then they offload it to the memory.
And my other concern was that, okay, it's great that it does this high frame rate stuff, but like what happens, you have to know like that the thing is going to happen that you want it to record.
Right. It's a very short window.
Yeah. So what you can do is once you put it in that mode, you basically hit a button and it like you get your focus how you want it. And then you hit a button that kind of tells it to like, okay, I'm ready. And then it goes and it basically does a rolling buffer.
So you stop it and captures the last
so
2 seconds.
You have the option of either doing at the start or at the end once it's like ready to go. So it'll just sit there and it'll fill the buffer 2 seconds and then it'll be like, okay, I'm ready. And then whenever you hit record, it locks in that previous 2 seconds worth, which is pretty cool, right? I didn't have to like try to game stuff when I was trying to catch the windmill blade going by. I could just wait for it to pass and then hit the button. And then,
that's a good feature.
Yeah, it's good stuff, and it's way faster than the previous model. Like everything that the camera does is just like it's like going from an iPhone to an iPhone S model or something, the equivalent for like a camera.
I'm not sure that's the best analogy, but I'm okay with that.
It's just stuff's faster.
All right, and Maury, what do you got for us lined up?
Well, my wife actually picked this up for me. I'm looking for a powered screwdriver for the longest time. Just haven't found one that really fit the bill. Found this flip out, this thing here. It's got a variable. Well, it's not charged right now, but it's got a variable switch on it. You can actually rotate it. Well, you can't really see that, but let me see. You can rotate it fully like that. You can bend it like that. The head bends like that. I mean, you can basically put it at any angle you want. It's a really neat thing. It's 8 volts. I believe it's got a lithium-ion battery in it, and it's somewhere between $40 and $50, depending on what kind of deal you can find on it. It comes with Philips flatheads, stars, and I think square head drivers.
Maury,
and
do you wear this belt clip?
It has an extension thing too. So, and it comes with a nice little belt clip storage thing.
Do you have that belt clip on right now, Maury?
No, I do not.
Maury?
No, look, Ryan's right here.
Maury.
So I can
Right here.
I can back Maury up on this. That's a very good pick. I bought one of these in November when I was down in Tampa because I had to move a house worth of stuff up to my house with no tools. Like I didn't have any tools with me. So it's like, crap, I need like a good screwdriver that can handle all this stuff. And I went to Lowe's and they had those on sale and I bought one. And it handled everything I needed to handle.
Battery life seemed
Did you get laser surgery?
Battery life was fine. I took apart like several tables and stuff with it.
So it doesn't have a removable battery. I see here it's got like an AC adapter.
It's just built in.
So could you use it with the AC adapter if you needed to?
I don't know. I didn't try.
Like a giant extension cord.
I think you have to charge a battery.
Does it actually have enough torque on like
It's
all
good
the electronics?
Like I was wondering how the mechanism, like the the mechanism that you can reposition. Like there were points where it was putting so much torque on that I was like, how is that not breaking? Because it was like actually like trying to pull the driver out of my hand.
Yeah.
With just that amount of torque that it had. And it also, I don't know if Maury knows, it has a flashlight. Also.
Yes.
Have you figured that out?
That.
There's this little.
Yeah, I put it on. I haven't used it much. I mean, it's
He could probably show it because he has it, but there's a little knob at the very end, and you kind of twist it. And
look at this guy. Oh, look, yeah, there he is. Look, see, it's in the video.
Yeah, so it just, and you can like reposition which direction the flashlight points as well.
Yeah, see, here's
so it's really handy.
Right here. So you can see it. Ooh, see?
Yeah.
You can twist it. Turns on. It turns off if you put it down. It turns on when you go to about 45 degrees, and you can rotate it 90, 120.
Yeah.
So it's really neat.
I mean, it's a cool little thing, especially if you catch it on sale.
I'm watching the video, and it said "reach around or over."
Reach around.
It's like, oh no! I'm glad it wasn't on the screen so Josh would see it.
Ken's sign me up.
I mean, the really nice thing about it is it takes a 1/4-inch bit, so you don't have to use a bit that comes with it. You can basically use any bit that you have with it. You could get extensions for it, and I mean, you don't have to buy the flip out stuff.
So you can just say, take it all, bit.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, that is going to wrap up the show today. PCPer.com/podcast is where you can go find the back episodes. You can find links to the RSS files, links to the video files, links to the YouTube videos, and all the links to the show notes, links and show notes of the things that we talked about today will be listed in there as well. Reminders about our big live stream coming up on Sunday from noon to midnight. Join us for any and all of it, hopefully all of it. If you can, we're going to have lots of hardware to give away. I think a lot of interesting discussions to have, some interesting demonstrations and table builds and stuff going on. Look, we spent a lot of time just cleaning up this place to even try to make room.
Even though you can't tell at all.
You can't tell any of it.
I'm not convinced the stream is actually happening. I think you just want me to clean the office.
Yeah, I'm actually just going to sleep in Sunday. I'll be in it too. If you guys get started, that'd be great. Without me anyway.
Great.
And also, don't forget, we've had a couple people donate to the Patreon during the stream, and we greatly appreciate it. If you go to patreon.com/PCPer, get us over that second hump so we can start getting towards that third hump. And Josh knows the third hump is the best hump.
Yeah, buddy.
I'll take one hump.
Not from me, good sir. That's it for us, everybody. We'll see you next time. And hopefully we'll see you Sunday. I'm Ryan Schraub.
I'm Josh Walrath.
I'm Alan Malmontano.
Now Maury Titleman.
Bye.